Hello, I am coming to you today just wanting to continue my series about what grief is. Because I think, even though it's something that we all go through, it's not something that we know a whole lot about. And so today I'm sitting um, in a little bit different spot than I usually am, and I'm enjoying the sea breeze and watching the water. And as I'm sitting here watching, I'm seeing fish jump, right? And so there's these ripples. And so today I want to talk about how grief is like a ripple. My name is Shoshana Bush. If you don't know me, I am a trauma informed grief coach, chaplain, and Christian speaker. And I'm glad you're here to talk about what grief is. And so, grief being like a ripple is something happens in our life, some event. I have another video about what kind of events can cause grief, but when an event causes grief, it's kind of like we've dropped a rock in a pond or the fish has jumped, right? And so things spread out beyond that event into our lives. And there can be effects like um, some that we expect, some that take us by surprise, right? So some of the ones we expect are the emotional effects that happen in our lives: the sadness, the anger, the questions, the fear, the shame, the guilt, those kind of things, those kind of emotions um, can ripple from that event into our lives. And when our emotions are intense, it has impacts on all of the things around us: our daily life, our jobs, our relationships with others. Some other impacts and ripples that maybe we don't always think about are some physical ripples. When we're grieving, um, there's things like brain fog. You can't think. Um, it's hard to make decisions because your brain is kind of clouded by the grief that's happening around you. Sometimes it has physical symptoms like upset stomach or um, intestinal kind of issues that you don't necessarily connect to grief, but it's a ripple that's impacting your life. There can be spiritual ripples, especially for something sudden or something that is traumatic, where we feel disconnected to God, or God feels far away, or we think God abandoned us. We start questioning where God is and why God allowed things to happen, which is not wrong or bad. It's just sometimes a ripple that we didn't expect to happen. Some other ripples with grief is that we can experience these ripples months, years after the event itself, and they can almost take us by surprise. For example, my mom died in 2017. I'm doing this video in 2026. I still intensely miss my mom. And things will come up and we'll talk about her, or, as I'm going through my dad's stuff when he died, and he died this March in 2026, I find something of my mom's too, right, that he kept. And so I find myself grieving her loss again, a ripple that I have to work through and kind of go over the waves of those grief. Again, it's been 9 years since I lost my mom. And again, not a bad thing. It's just part of what grief is. Some other ripples that can affect our lives in grief is the relationships that we have with others. If especially in situations where we feel grief in a certain way, but they're not feeling grief in that way, or they don't understand our grief. Sometimes in grief, we kind of want to pull away and kind of get into our own space and our own lives and our own shell, kind of, because the pain is intense or the emotions are intense, and so it ripples into the other aspects of our lives. And none of those are bad things. It's just part of what grief is. And part of what I do as a coach is I help you navigate those ripples. I help you figure out what is rippling through your lives that's causing either harm or causing you to be stuck or feel stuck in your grief, causing you to become disconnected from others or from God in that grief. And we work together to equip you to process your grief and untangle your emotions and build resilience and coping skills so that each day gets a little bit easier. Grief doesn't just go away. It will never just go away. That's not what grief is, because grief is a sign of love, right? And our love for something or somebody or our understanding about life doesn't just go away. It adjusts and it changes. And so if you're feeling stuck in the ripples of grief, um, and you need some support, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting support. I sought help from the people around me, both when my mother died and then again when my father died this past March. We all need help. And sometimes we need somebody who's been there, who's walked through and navigated the ripples of grief to walk with us. And so that's what I do as a coach. I walk with you. I help you process the grief, untangle your emotions, and then equip you to find coping skills and resilience, which all lead to more peace, a closer connection to God and those around us, and more resilience for when things happen in the future. Will you come and see?